Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Deborah Jenkins, and I am your host for Black Talk Platform. And I know you have become accustomed to me saying this because I've been so fortunate to have really great shows in the last few weeks. But I'm super excited about my guest who is here with me tonight. And that is none other than freshman Congressman Jamaal Bowman. He is my congressman, everybody, so I'm giving him two thumbs up. Welcome to Black Talk Platform, Congressman Bowman.
Well, thank you for having me. Good evening to you and to your audience, and congratulations on having such an amazing platform. I love the name. I love the person, Dr. Deborah Jenkins, Reverend
Reverend
Dr.
Doctor.
Deborah Jenkins, and you're the perfect person to have a platform like this. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Listen, everybody, as you come into the room this evening, understand that the congressman is very busy. I only have him for the hour. Actually, it may be a little less
I
time than
think
that.
it's less than that.
It's
I think it's
about 45 minutes. We have him for about 45 minutes. The news day has been busy. So we're not going to stick to the things that I had sent to him in his office strictly. And we're going to invite him to come back whenever he wants because we need to hear from him. But we have to start, Congressman, with one of the biggest news stories of the day, and that is the sudden resignation of both our governor, Andrew Cuomo. What can you tell us in terms of your position? I can tell you what I've been hearing in social media, in particular from my Facebook followers. They're very mad with the Democratic leadership in New York State. They're mad because they feel like, excuse me, they feel like it's just political. And I'm hearing people say things like, but Donald Trump was not held accountable. But the Democrats always eat their own. Little statements like that, that I want to know what your position was about the whole scandal and where we are today and those comments that I'm hearing a lot of.
On the one hand, I understand why those comments are made because many are frustrated that the Republicans seem to get away literally with murder and sexual assault and child trafficking and all kind of mess,
Yep.
while Democrats continue to suffer under higher expectations. So I get that on the one hand. On the other hand, I think as Democrats, we should have higher expectations than the Republican Party, a party that recently facilitated and initiated insurrection on the Capitol on January 6th, 3 days after I was sworn into office.
Yeah.
So we do not want to align our standards with the standards of the party of white supremacy, of insurrection, and the party that gave rise to Donald Trump. And to be clear, Democrats held Donald Trump accountable in Congress by impeaching him twice.
Right.
Republicans in the Senate did not follow through and vote him out of office. So our standards as Democrats should be a bit higher. Now, putting Governor Cuomo to the side for a moment, there were 11 women that accused him for sexual harassment and sexual assault. I want to commend them for their bravery and courage and their strength in coming forward. It is not easy to do. They put their reputations and their careers on the line by doing so, accusing someone who had a reputation of being a heavy-handed, intimidating leader in many ways. So I think we should recognize them and commend them for stepping forward and speaking out. And I think the governor today did what he felt and what I feel, I agree with his decision, was best for the state so that we can move on. And this is not just about the governor. This is about a style of leadership that I think has had its day in both America and world leadership, right? This idea of paternalistic leadership, this patriarchy leadership that evolves into a sort of toxic masculinity and a focus more on power than true leadership that inspires others. So I'm hoping as Democrats, we continue to hold our elected leaders accountable and to a higher standard. Not that we have to be perfect. No one is perfect. This is not about perfect leadership, but it's about a certain moral leadership, a certain character, a certain integrity that holds our leaders to a higher standard and inspires our leaders to be their best selves, right? So that they can uplift others around them. So, I agree with the decision. Personally, happy that it was made, and now hopefully, as a state, we can come together and do better for people across the state, regardless of background or position.
Thank you so much for saying that, and I so hope many will hear you and hear the different layers that we should consider when we are taking these positions. Because listen, I'm all for supporting my elected officials, especially if they're from my party. But there has to be a line of demarcation when people are literally being harmed. And to your point about the 11 women, their voices matter, their lives matter. And we should be concerned about them. No one should get a pass. And yes, thank you for reminding us that you all impeached 45 twice, and it was the Republican-led Senate that refused to do so at the time. So thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Your friend and my sister, Juanita Presley, is in the room supporting you, as well as many of your constituents up here. Hi, Akeisha. Hi, Roman. And I know you had some strong feelings about that, and I hope the congressman made you, think a little more expansive. And not just you, so many people are just mad right now. But I think he has totally given us some clarity around how we should look. And guess what he didn't do? He didn't disrespect the governor. So we can hold each other accountable, right? Without harming each other. And I think that's what you did tonight, Congressman. I appreciate it. Let's move on from that. If you all have comments, please throw them in there. I respect you all and I welcome you all and I thank you all. They're all speaking to you, Congressman. You should be able to see their comments. Let's move on. Big things happening today. The infrastructure bill, we're all happy about it. I mean, you can't travel in the United States and not see road work being done. And so that's on the base level. Now, friend of mine, Congressman, and I know that you all have to really go and take a deep dive into what this bill really means for the nation, but also for our districts and what's been left out. Tell us what your thoughts are about it so far.
So we've already seen some changes here at the local level. We knew this infrastructure package was coming. We already had some infrastructure built into the American Rescue Plan. So we've seen some things here locally. For example, the governor and the MTA held a press conference at the Co-op City Metro North Station, indicating that work was going to begin being done to open that station, which has been closed for many years. So that's a huge infrastructure win. Mm-hmm. Today, in Mount Vernon, we opened up the 3rd Avenue Bridge to allow for the city to be connected to itself and people to be connected from one part of the city to another. We did that with the MTA. That was also a huge infrastructure win. Our appropriations process is bringing in a lot more wins when it comes to infrastructure. And when you combine the bipartisan bill with the reconciliation bill, we're talking $4.6 trillion with a T invested in infrastructure. Now, this is key. I don't know how many in your audience saw the climate report that came out yesterday from the IPCC, but the words that were used are, this is a code red for humanity. Code red. So whether it's forest fires across the country and across the world, flooding across the country and across the world, record heat waves across the country and across the world, droughts that are leading to famine and mass migration, climate change is killing people right now. Today.
Yeah.
We need to end our dependency on fossil fuels completely within the next 10 years so that it doesn't get much, much worse.
Yep.
This package is going to get us most of the way there. Researchers say we need a bit more. They said we needed about 10 trillion, but right now we're about halfway to 10. And hopefully we can create jobs, and more jobs that require college degrees, but jobs that don't require college
Yes.
degrees, workforce innovation, workforce development, investing in education, both K to 12 and post-secondary. So this is a moment that President Biden has responded to and Congress has responded to get people back to work.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why we held a job fair about a week ago to begin
Yes.
that process. We're going to do a lot more of that because we got to get people back to work. This is the time for people to get the training they need and begin working in these clean, green, renewable jobs. So it's really an exciting time for the country.
You know, kudos to you for that job resource fair that you held last week, I believe.
Last week, yes.
And I was unable to come, but many were able to come, and they said it was fabulous. I can tell you, Congressman, I don't remember that being done in our community. I don't remember that being done by our congressmen. And I appreciate you so much because the unemployment can be changed with elected officials who care. And we are so proud that you did that. And we are going to hold you to doing more. Leah Richardson, you may know her. She's one of the board members up here in Co-op City. She and I, we're always talking about alternatives to going to college. You are an educator. So of course you support college degree attainment, but you recognize, Congressman, that that's not the road for everyone. And I so appreciate that. These new possibilities that exist for our people. When I say our people, the United States people, right? The people of the country, but specifically, we are going to be selfish. We want them in our district. We want them employed in our area. So there are about 3 million jobs that may occur from this infrastructure bill. Is that correct? Somewhere about that?
So, somewhere about that, yes. I also want to mention that, again, with the American Rescue Plan, there are opportunities to create more jobs as well. So we have job openings that need to be filled. We have job training programs that are coming. We have people that need jobs. Connect the three, and the goal is to bring our unemployment rate down to 0, and to bring our poverty rate down to 0. That is the mission of our office. That's a goal of our office. We need to make sure the people in our district have jobs, but also here's the thing, not just any jobs where they are earning a sustainable wage, where they can afford their housing, their childcare, their education, their groceries, their travel and commute expenses, and have money on the side to take a little vacation when they want to take a vacation. That's why we have to continue to work hard, because there are parts of this country, going outside the district for a moment, where they don't even have a $15 minimum wage. And my Republican colleagues voted against this, and even some Democratic colleagues voted against this, which is absurd. And even a $15 minimum wage in New York City is not affordable. We need to be making a lot more money. So yes, 3 million jobs, job training programs, which is the key piece, right? Because there are some people who are not job ready for whatever reason, right? And there are people, what struck me about the career fair was there were people who were 30, 40, 50 years old at this career fair, which means, and this is a term that your listeners really should know and understand, upskilling. So there are many people in jobs right now that they want a new job and they want to acquire the skills to obtain a new job. That's called upskilling. So we need to provide the training and support for them so they can be upskilled and go into new jobs. And shout out to new Councilman Kevin Riley. Shout out to State Senator Jamal Bailey. Shout out to Speaker Carl Hasty. We've been working and talking in collaboration around these issues to figure out how we can work together to bring the best programs to our district. So I'm really excited about that.
Well, I'm going to have to say, this is Black Talk Platform, and it's not to exclude anyone. I am so incredibly proud of you 4 Black men. I really am. It makes a difference. It makes a difference because many of the people you're speaking about, at least in our district, look like you, and they're unemployed or underemployed. And so, Leah, you and I definitely, because she and I were always talking about vocational training and other training programs, but we have to learn this whole upskilling thing so that we can help get the seniors that you're speaking about. And she's talking about seniors. I don't know if she's talking about senior citizens back employed. Go on, Congressman.
Well, I want to say something about vocational training. First of all, absolutely correct. Huge need in the district, huge need across the country. Let me also say this. I met with European leaders from the European Union, ambassadors from Italy, Bulgaria, and other areas. One of the main focal points in Bulgaria was vocational training.
Wow.
Right? So this is a worldwide need and a worldwide phenomenon. Now, let me say this. Vocational training in the 21st century is a bit different from what we had when we were kids.
Okay.
So the 21st century vocational training is on renewable energy, clean energy, and the Green New Deal, but it's also focused on coding and computer programming as the new foreign language, if you will. So our schools need to continue with foreign language. My focus, I think the focus for schools should be early childhood foreign language, but also computer programming as the new foreign language. Because as we talk about jobs becoming more automatized and controlling hardware and controlling the technologies of the 21st century and 22nd century, we need to know computer programming. So that's why STEM and STEAM education in K-12 is big. And then one last point on this. We want our kids to create the new technologies of the 21st and 22nd century. So a job is one thing, great. Sustainable wage, job, take care of your family. Entrepreneurship is another, starting new small businesses, starting new industries where you're creating jobs for others. But then the technology, the microchips that make our technology work, we need to create those as well. So we want the people in our communities to be able to get to that level in addition to the other levels that I described, because that's where community wealth is built, particularly around community and worker cooperatives, which I know my brother Jamaal Bailey supports 100%.
Yeah,
we're right there with him at a federal level as well. So again, exciting time to do a lot of exciting work.
Absolutely. You have said a mouthful, and I'm here taking notes because I'm going to go back with my partners in the community, and we're going to just brainstorm about how we can help you and the other elected officials bring these services to our area. But I have to give you kudos because when you and I had chatted about a month ago before you brought your career fair up here, you immediately sent me a document of resources, job training partners within the community. I have been working with one, and I've known them for a very long time, and I wanted to give them a shout out. And you might be familiar with them. They're called Strive. They're located in Central Harlem, and they work a lot around reentry employment. I'm so proud of them. The programs that they have coming up speak to exactly what you're talking about, this new vocational training that we have to learn the language around. And all of their trainings include the 30-hour OSHA training, which is incredibly important, especially post-pandemic. And I don't know if we should really be saying post-pandemic right now in this time that we're living in. So thank you, Congressman, for really being about it and getting the resources out to us so that we can make use of them. Thank you so much. Let's move on, because you were talking about the $15 an hour minimum wage and that we really need a little bit more so that we're not just working to pay the bills, but we're working to have a better quality of life and to keep a roof over our head. Last week, your colleague, Congresswoman Cori Bush, she did something extra phenomenal to me as well as to many. When you all were recessed for vacation for holiday, she decided, I'm going to sleep out on the steps of the Capitol until somebody saves these people from being evicted from their homes. And you subsequently joined her along with other squad members. We can talk about you being a part of the squad. You're like the male squad member. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
You're the male squad member. But I'm so proud of her and what she did and you taking part in supporting her. Let's talk about that a little bit. That was incredible to me.
Yeah. So, things in Congress don't always work as smoothly as they're supposed to. So, we were going through, there was a lot going on. The main thing was the appropriations process where we're figuring out how to fund the government. So this is a huge lift, happens every year. This was my first time going through it, but we had a laser-like focus on this. Then all of a sudden, Thursday evening, my legislative director, who leads our legislative department, is sending me text messages like, "Oh, we may have to vote on the eviction moratorium tomorrow and extending it." So I'm thinking in my mind, "Oh, cool, no problem. Of course, we're going to extend it. It's not going to be a big deal."
Mhm.
So I came home early Friday and I voted by proxy because my 7-year-old daughter called me Tuesday crying, and I asked her what's wrong, and she's like, "I miss you." So I'm like, all right, I got to get my butt home before votes end on Friday. So Friday morning, I left and I voted by proxy.
Okay.
AOC actually voted for me. So there's text messages going throughout the day on this eviction moratorium. It may not come to the floor for a vote. We may not have the votes. Moderates are pushing back. And I'm like, we're not going to allow 11 million people to be evicted. That's not going to happen. We're going to work it out. Long story short, as many saw, we didn't even, the bill was Maxine Waters' bill. Shout out to Maxine Waters, who is an amazing warrior and was the squad before there was even a squad by herself.
Right.
Congress introduced a bill. It wasn't even brought to the floor for a vote. They called for a voice vote, I believe. It was struck down. We never had a recorded vote. So the people who were going to vote no were never on the record, which is cowardly and unacceptable.
Right.
Anyway, so as this was happening, Cori and Alex, AOC, they hear it's about to happen. They run to the floor to try to get the recorded vote, which never happened. So Cori, remember, Cori's an activist, right? She made her bones on the streets of Ferguson, organizing around Mike Brown's murder, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's her instinct. That's in her bones. So the first thing she think about, like, listen, I'm going to occupy the Capitol steps until something changes. Yeah. She goes to AOC, "Are you down?" AOC is like, "I'm down." And what do? They occupy the steps. She called me that Friday night. I didn't get the call, and I checked my phone. I'm like, the next day, why is Cori calling me? Turn on the TV, I see what's happening, right? So I'm like, okay. Yeah. So her, Ayanna, Congresswoman Presley, and Ilhan, they slept on the Capitol steps that night. Mm-hmm. So the next day, I had the career fair. So, I had to be there, and then Jamal Bailey had his cookout, and then Andy King had such. So there was a lot going on. So I was like, okay, let me go to all these events and my own. And then I'm driving back to D.C. to hold Cori down. So I asked my wife, Melissa, "Do you want to go?" She said, "Yes." We got the kids. We got in the car and we drove down. So I was there that night with her. I was there the following Sunday with her. And like I said, it was all of us. We were all kind of there rotating support for her to continue to bring attention to this. And she brought a lot of attention, and then AOC and then myself and others. And, within 5 days, I think, Mondare was down there, and Elizabeth Warren, Bernie, a lot of people came out.
Yeah.
Within 5 days, the president and the CDC decided to extend the moratorium, specifically in communities that had high COVID rates due to the Delta variant. So that was a new variable that wasn't in place.
Mm-hmm.
A month ago, when Justice Kavanaugh wrote his decision, which was not a ruling, it was an opinion that said let it expire on the 31st. So because of Cori's leadership and activism, we were able to get it extended and save millions of people from being evicted. Now, let me say this. We passed rent relief in Congress months ago, 42 billion in total.
Mm-hmm.
The state has money to provide rent relief.
Mm-hmm.
The state has only administered 1% of that money. So that's also unacceptable.
Also
The
unacceptable.
state and the governor's office, while he's there over these last 14 days, and my office was in communication with his office today about this, needs to begin to disseminate that money ASAP.
Right.
Because what happens is, Reverend Dr. Jenkins, in crises like these, like in 2008, we evict the poor and we let them fend for themselves, and we allow the rich to come in and buy up real estate
Yeah.
and make a profit off of the real estate that they buy and then rent to wealthier individuals,
Yeah.
and the poor suffer the most.
Absolutely.
That's what certain people, including elected officials, were going to allow to have happen this time around. Thankfully, Cori stopped it, but now we got to make sure rent relief comes at the state level.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought up the rent relief. But first, there's so much. I want to give kudos to her. She's also a minister, so
Yes,
ministers, but she's just her heart, and you know, she's incredible, and we appreciate her. We appreciate all of you. And when I say all of you, Juanita and I like to claim Ayanna as our cousin since we share the same last name, of course. Presley, she's our cousin, so you're gonna have to make that official cousin introduction.
I will.
Okay? Okay, but no, we appreciate all of you. You all lead often, and I am so appreciative of your voices. And I'll leave it at that, because I've seen the articles about some of your colleagues who stood to benefit from the eviction of fellow Americans, and it's shameful. And you all keep pushing. We thank you. We support you all, and let us know what we can do on the ground to help build the swell. You know, to do the groundswell with you all. What was I going to say? I don't want to run out of time without getting to everything, Congressman. Congressman, I mentioned in my introduction of you, are a freshman congressman. Not in any way to take attention from your incredible campaign. You, as I've always known you for all these years, were a leading educator in our area. Never run for public office before. You unseated who I called Congressman Rope Man, because Congressman Engel, and this is not to be disrespectful, he was always on the rope line for the presidents when they entered the chambers, right? You unseated a leading congressman as an insurgent candidate. I give you kudos for that. And you ran such a positive campaign. If people didn't support you, you were okay, because you still realized that you were going to represent everybody regardless. Tell me how it made you feel as an individual to have been able to unseat someone who had long been a respected congressperson in our area and continuously enjoyed the support of the district.
Yeah, I mean, it was and still is incredibly humbling to have gone through that experience and to be here as a member of Congress. I feel very privileged to serve in this capacity. Very privileged to serve the people of New York 16. You know, I just believed that, you know, that the district was ready for, you know, transformative change.
Mm-hmm.
And I believed in the people in the district and our ability to build a diverse coalition. And I believe that, you know, everyone in the district wanted the district to do better for itself,
Right.
and to be represented differently in Washington. So, you know, I don't know how much you know your viewers know about the district, but if our district was a country, we would have the 8th worst economic inequality in the world.
Wow.
We have both the highest number of WIC recipients and the second wealthiest community in the country, which is Scarsdale. It's divided along racial lines and divided along economic lines. And if you're white, you're more likely to be upper middle class or wealthy. And if you're black or Latino, you're more likely to be poor. And, I worked in the district for 10 years as a middle school principal. And the thing about poverty and how it manifests along racial lines is not just a district problem, it's a national problem. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's about what can I do to bring a new vision to the district and to bring resources into the district to unlock the unlimited potential of those who have been historically left behind in the district. And, we did it very humbly. And I was a learner throughout the process. I wasn't arrogant. Sorry, I get allergies, so my eyes start itching.
It's fine.
I wasn't arrogant. I was very humble. I just did a lot of listening, a lot of learning about the issues, and then tried to just share a vision, which is not much different than the vision I had in education for our kids and families. And the district responded very positively for that. And I hope, to continue to work hard and earn the district support as I go forward, because there's a lot of work to do. And this is not about me. This is about us. And this is about, the people in the district have to know that I'm here to serve them, not the other way around. So I'm here to work for the district, and let's figure it out and let's get to work.
We love that. And I love the fact that you maintain, not maintained, but maintain your humility, and you really have rolled up your sleeves. And so again, we say thank you. Look, they're rolled up literally. He has them rolled up, everybody. I have to shout out my brother and your brother, Ronald Hartridge, Fathers for Bowman.
What's up, Ron?
He is about it. He is about it throughout. And he was a huge part of getting your message out up here in Co-op City. But I did not know the statistics you just shared about the WIC, the highest level rate of WIC disbursement. And then, of course, we knew about Scarsdale, which brings me to my question. Will your district be impacted by the realignment or the reallocation?
Redistricting?
Redistricting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It will be. We don't know exactly how. There's a lot of rumors and all of that, but there's an independent redistricting commission, which is good. They'll come to an agreement as to what things should look like. New York State will lose a seat, unfortunately, because of lower census numbers, which is something in 10 years we got to make sure we do better at, because we don't want to lose any seats.
Right.
I don't think that seat is going to be a Democratic seat. Which is good.
Yeah.
And I've heard that we might be moving south, which means I might get more of the Bronx, which I'm fine with. I love the Bronx and want to do work for the Bronx. But yeah, there will be some realignment. But I think overall, it won't be anything catastrophic. I don't think so. We don't. Thankfully, we got leaders like Carl Hastie in the State House, and not leaders like Donald Trump. So, we got people with some sense up there.
Listen, I have to think about all these new words they're adding to the dictionary. And when I hear the word leader, do we need to go through a redefining of words when we think about the person you just mentioned? I typically don't mention him because no.
Well, what he actually was is an elected official, and he was elected president, which is bananas to even think about, right?
Yes.
But that doesn't make him a leader. There are people who work for the MTA who are better leaders than Donald Trump, but never had the privilege of his race and his class and his gender. Right. That he literally rode that privilege to the White House. Yeah. And because many of us, white and black and other, have been colonized mentally by this belief that white men are better leaders than all of us. We've been colonized to believe that. Someone like him was able to take the presidency, and we're lucky. We're lucky that the insurrection wasn't much, much worse.
Right.
And that, but even with that said, we still got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene literally trying to wage civil war in America. Like, she's literally telling people in Georgia and Alabama and other states, if the government knocks on your door to encourage you to vaccinate, you can use your Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, that's
She
scary.
wants civil war. It's like, are you an alien from another planet trying to kill a human race?
Right.
Who are you? What's
Who are
wrong with you?
She's dangerous. She's
very
very dangerous. Yeah, very dangerous.
And I'm happy that her Twitter account was suspended today, I believe, because she put out false information about COVID.
Wow.
Insanity.
Her district needs to be redrawn, but it probably won't, just to keep you all busy doing the work for the people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep. So listen, what would be your parting words? He's about to leave. Are there any questions before the congressman get out of here? My friend Flora Golston, she's an incredible leader in this fight, a medical fight. She says, we're under our current borough president, Ruben Diaz Jr. He started did he start the Not 62 campaign? But certainly the Bronx is the 62nd county in terms of our health. And she's saying that we're ranked 62, meaning we have the worst health disparities in all the Bronx. Yes. Talk about that as an educator, and the young people, and just what you envision for our district and for our borough.
Yeah, so a few different things. Number one, we need to bring physical education back to elementary schools 5 days a week. It does not happen 5 days a week.
Wow.
Number two, we need more sports in our borough beginning in elementary school for every single child. Number three, we need more outdoor safe places to play for our kids and our adults for exercise and so forth. Number four, we need more spaces to buy affordable, healthy foods. Our diets need to improve.
Yes.
We need access to healthier foods to improve those diets. Number five, and a lot of people don't associate this part with health, but stress and trauma leads to bad health outcomes.
Yes.
It causes inflammation in the body, and it causes us to make choices that negatively impact our diets and our health. So mental health supports in our community are a big deal in combating our stress and trauma, the stress of poverty and the stress of being Latino or Black in America. Is enough to be toxic, which leads to inflammation in the body, which leads to negative health outcomes. Those things matter. Obviously, more exercise, more sports, more gym, healthier, affordable foods, and then dealing with stress and trauma. And you mentioned, how do you support what I'm talking about on the ground here? Continuously engage local elected officials at the state and city level around the needs of the community. Continue to engage the mayor's office as well and the borough president's office. Really excited about Vanessa Gibson coming in. I know that she's rooted in community, so she will be accessible to engage around these issues. It looks like Eric Adams is going to be the next mayor, and although ideologically, I don't always align with him, I think in terms of his values, he really cares about our community and is willing to listen and learn and work with us. So it's important for community to be in touch with him. Again, as elected officials, we work for you. So we got to hear from you in terms of what the needs are. And as someone who was a former educator, father of three, someone who has a doctorate in ed leadership, who looks at community through a holistic lens, there's research that tells us what we need to do. And now we just have to do it. And not just respond to real estate developers and the wealthy elite who try to control all of our political decisions.
Oh man, we're happy that we have you, because we need a voice like yours, that's not calculating what's the best position for himself, but really what is best for your district. Thank you. Let me get through these questions. These are going to be.
I got like 5 minutes.
5 minutes. These are lightning round. Let me see if I can get through them.
Round. Let's do it.
Can you speak about what you think will happen with the House process on the vote? Oh, you missed it.
No, I could answer it. I see it. So Jeffrey Rothholt. So I think we're going to pass both bills. I think the bipartisan bill and the reconciliation bill will pass. Things can change, but right now, as we speak, it seems like all parties are satisfied, Republicans and Democrats and progressives. So I think we're going to pass both bills. The question now is going to be implementation. As the money comes into the state and counties and cities, how are we spending it in an equitable way so that communities that have been left out, communities of color, have a seat at the table? That's going to be key. How is the money being spent?
So we're going to need you speaking to our incoming governor very soon also, right? To make sure she's on top of it.
We're actually on the calendar. So
all right.
Going to happen.
Look. All right. Next question. What are your plans moving forward regarding mental health? Well, he just cited it, but you can definitely answer that, Congressman.
So again, I always begin with our schools, right? So one of the last things I did as a middle school principal was make CASA a community school, which means we partnered with a local health center to build a healthcare facility attachment to the school, which was going to provide mental health services as well. We need more mental health professionals in our communities, and we need better access. Yes. So right now, we the way you could dial 911 and get a cop, we should be able to dial 411 or 611 and get a mental health professional. So we need to grow that profession tremendously, beginning with our schools. There are more cops than counselors for millions of students across the country in schools. Yeah. That's unacceptable. We need more counselors, more social workers. I'm advocating for that at the federal level. But please, your voices locally really matter. And I think new Mayor Eric Adams cares about this issue as well. I know he does. Please be in touch with him about this issue, as well as our state and council officials.
We certainly will. Leah has another question. We need a youth center. We really need a youth center. How can you help?
So I allocated or fought to allocate money as part of the appropriations process for that. So if it passes the Senate, there will be more money coming in. We're going to have individual legislation looking to allocate money for that as well. This is also a whole of government approach. So city, state, Congress bringing the money in to do it. In the short term, though, we have school buildings that should be open late into the evening and weekends, providing community services to the community, whether it's education, job training, or just opportunities for kids to stay off the street. So that's the short term. But in the long term, we need more money and infrastructure for new youth centers.
We want to thank you so much for answering our questions, for being here, being candid, and just being you, Congressman, with your rolled up sleeves. We're going to ask you to keep them rolled up because there's great work to be done, not only in our district, throughout the nation, and we need your voice. We appreciate you so much. You get the last word before I close down the show.
Peace and love, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. We'll ask you for your continued support. And again, this is a democracy. Your voice matters. Please stay organized in your community. Get very clear on what your asks are from your elected officials, and then push us and hold us accountable to meet the needs of those asks. So thank you all so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Congressman. Good night, everybody. Be with me next week with Nantasha. Nantasha Williams will be our guest. She is the new councilwoman in South Jamaica, Queens. We're looking forward to having her. Thank you all for hanging out with us. This was great, Tandra. He did a great job, and he came across as very genuine. Juanita can vouch for him. She's known him for over 20 years. I believe what we saw of him is truly what we'll get. But he kept telling us to hold him accountable. If you all remember, President Obama said, "Hold me accountable." Guess what we did? We went to sleep. We didn't hold him accountable. And so we started complaining that not enough was done for our community. We're going to hold Congressman Bowman accountable. We're going to hold the Assembly Speaker accountable. We're going to hold State Senator Bailey accountable, Assemblyman Michael Benedetto, as well as our wonderful council person, Kevin Riley. We're going to hold them all accountable, and not just here in our local districts, but throughout the nation. So God bless you all. Thank y'all so much for being here. This was a wonderful conversation. I'll see you all next week. We got a lot of stuff because Women Who Lead series comes up next week, and kicking it off is Councilwoman Natasha Williams. God bless you all. See you next week.